Well, the crisis on America's southern border is about to turn into a major challenge for teachers in America's classrooms. Schools across the country bracing for as many as 50,000 illegal immigrant children set to start school just next week. Under federal law, all kids, regardless of whether they're here legally, are entitled to a free public education. But someone is paying for it. We'll find out who. Joining us to discuss, Texas Congressman Louie Gohmert. Congressman, thanks for coming on this morning.
Always good to be with you.
So I don't get any sense the administration is even thinking about who is going to pay for this, who is going to pay for it, and what's it going to cost.
Well, it's going to cost the local and state taxpayers who it's going to cost. And you got to understand, when the president's worked on a plan, a strategic plan to deal with ISIS, he spent so much time on that, or not, that maybe he didn't have enough time to think about education. But you think about it, he calls it a dreamer bill, what he had proposed, but it's more of a nightmare. It's not fair to kids that come in and speak only Spanish, throw them in a classroom with English-speaking students. It's unfair to both the English-speaking and to the Spanish-speaking students. Right. It is not fair. And not only that, Texas is having to go back and basically, you got to speak Spanish to teach English in a school. It is incredible the amount of cost that's being shoved onto the Texas schools.
Well, and it's a scam in a lot of cases. Immigrants know that once they enroll in school, it's much harder to deport them, so there are a lot of people pretending to be kids who aren't. Listen to Judith Flanagan. She's the mayor of Lynn, Massachusetts. Her schools have been overwhelmed with illegal immigrants.
In Massachusetts?
In Massachusetts. Listen to this.
One gentleman presented his papers to the school department, to the Parent Information Center, to enroll in school. He presented an arrest warrant with it, but because he couldn't read, he didn't realize he was presenting his own arrest warrant. So we called the local police, who in turn called ICE, who in turn declined to detain this gentleman, and we don't know where he went.
So it's all a scam. Why does the administration refuse, in the face of evidence that is hurting kids, to enforce basic immigration law?
Well, he's thinking only about the foreign students, not even fair to them, but it is a disaster for students, young kids trying to learn the most they can, and the teacher has to bring the education down to the lowest level, which means we're not educating our kids the way they should be, and it's costing tremendous amounts more. And, you know, we don't want to be unfair. Just because a student has gray hair doesn't mean they're not necessarily the teenager they claim to be. But, you know, of the 100% of the kids coming in, of the people coming in, only about 20% are claiming to be children. And about 80%.
Is that true?
Yeah, and only about 80% of the 20% who claim to be kids are claiming to be teenagers. So it is a disaster to these schools to have this many surging people coming in, students coming in. I say people because, come on, I mean, I've met them as they come across the border. They claim to be teenagers, and you go, man, most teenagers don't have a full beard like that.
No, and if you listen to the president, you get the feeling they're all orphaned 4-year-olds.
No, only about 20% are children, and
amazing.
Most of those, the vast majority of those, are teenagers. And it isn't fair to the local students. It's not fair to the schools, and we bear the cost of the president dreaming. Yeah. I think he's daydreaming. I don't think it's a dreamer bill. It's a daydreamer. He's daydreaming while he's
Congressman Louie Gohmert.
The answer's on the 18th hole. That's where he's looking.
Thanks for joining us. 2 minutes. We'll be back.